Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. Dr. Longhurst, I'm going to pick on you first because I loved this book, The Perfect Predator, which was written by one of your colleagues. And so my question is, and for those who don't know, it's about phage therapy and the saving of her husband's life, Thomas Patterson, who also is a UC San Diego individual, by finding the right virus to attack the antibiotic-resistant bacteria that had attacked his body. It's a great story if anybody wants to read it. The question is, are you all using AI to try to find more of those phage therapy type viruses? And if not, do you see any potential in that?
Great question, and thank you for referring to the book, The Perfect Predator. It's an amazing story of a life saved by phage therapy, something that was actually explored prior to the advent of antibiotics, and now we've gone back with antibiotic resistance to looking for solutions outside of that domain. And so it started a whole movement across the world. We do have a center at UC San Diego pursuing expansion of phage therapy for treatment of serious bacterial infections. I am not aware that we're currently using AI to help with that center, but as previously mentioned, I think in general, drug discovery will be augmented by the use of AI, and I'm very optimistic that we're going to see large language model generated hypotheses about new ways of treating patients that we may not have previously examined hypothetically. So thank you.
And that was a little bit off script. I'm going to go back to script, but it's I'm going to flip the coin over on the other side. According to reporting, the use of artificial intelligence has the potential to allow for generative large language models like ChatGPT and other chatbots to revive old deadly pathogens. So we've talked about how it can help. It can also be used to revive old deadly pathogens or even create new deadlier ones. One example was done at MIT, where students were able to get the large language models to suggest 4 potential pandemic pathogens within 1 hour by asking a series of questions to a generative large language model. Further, researchers in Cambridge, Massachusetts used open source large language model, asking it how to revive the 1918 Spanish flu. Several participants found obtaining the 1918 virus Spanish flu would be feasible for someone with basic wet lab skills, while one participant got very close, in quote unquote, very close to learning all the steps needed to obtain the virus. So I'm going to go to you, Dr. Nguyen. I was encouraged to see the White House put out an executive order to attempt to provide more oversight and security on this type of AI, but this still causes grave concern. Do you know if any AI technologies have security limits on what can be asked and what cannot be asked?
Thank you, Congressman. That's a very good question. In a broader sense, even outside of healthcare, right, these AI technologies have extremely broad and wide capabilities, many of which we don't fully understand yet. While this is outside the realm of the kind of AI Transcarent uses, AI in general, especially generative AI in the large language model sense, in that field there is the world of alignment research, right? The world of alignment research refers to the science of studying the malicious capabilities of these models and studying the ways in which we can defend against them. So in that world, right, very, very important work is being done to find things such as what you are describing, right, which is vectors of malicious use. There is still a lot of work to be done in that world, and I think it is very important for us in the healthcare world to follow that, acknowledge it, for this committee to support that kind of work.
So we want to look on the positive side, but one of the articles I was reading indicated that the proponent said maybe we need some kind of a test ban treaty like we do with nuclear weapons. Do you think that we should be looking at some kind of a limitation on the tests? I mean, we want the positives, but the negatives could also be very consequential.
Yeah, that's a very good question as well. I think it's very difficult to truly limit the progress, of testing these systems and making them safe without using them, right, and trying to push them to their limits, right? So I think it requires a measured approach. The other risk, though, of course, of test banning is that countries other than the United States will also, right.
Progress. Right. I'm going to switch gears again. Back to you, Dr. Longhurst. You mentioned in your testimony the AI-based messaging system was helpful for virtual care visits and allowing doctors to provide more care to patients. Question is, did the patients trust the system and find benefit from those automated responses?
Thank you for your question. I know we're expired on time. I will say briefly that anecdotally, we've gotten very positive feedback from patients, and we're submitting more quantitative data for publication.
Thank you very much. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back.